Zaxby's, indescribably good.
Welcome back, Raider fans, to another edition of the Rocky Hidalgo Coaches Show, brought to you by Zaxby's. Remember, Zaxby's has 2 locations in East Cobb, one at Lower Roswell and Johnson's Ferry, another at Shallowford and Johnson's Ferry. Rocky, you had a week off, but you're coming off the big victory at Lassiter, and you're getting ready for homecoming against Cherokee. Before we move on to Cherokee, let's go back and revisit that fourth quarter at Lassiter. Great defensive stand. The boys tighten up there in the end zone in those last couple of plays. Kyle has the long 80-yard run to put us ahead. But just describe that whole night, the 31-27 victory, fourth quarter, and then the bus ride home with the boys.
At first it was a game that we should have put away multiple times. We had 10-point leads. I felt that the game was closer than it should have been. Honestly, and I think our kids feel that way. I felt like we did some good things, and we kind of let off the pedal a little bit there. And Lassiter, I think they gave us their best game. It's credit to them. They hung around, they fought. When they got down, they kind of clawed back in. But we made some mistakes and let them back in the game. When they made it a 3-point game, we went for the fake on the punt. We had it. It was really, I thought I was going to look like a genius after that one because we had it sure enough. We're going to get the first and drive it down and run all the clock out. And then we fumbled the ball and it kicked off somebody's foot and they picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown.
So you weren't quite feeling like Les Miles at that point.
No, I did feel like Les Miles after the Ole Miss game.
Right, last year, right.
But it was one of those things that, I still think it was a good call. We had it. We had the first, and it's just kind of one of those things we talked about. We just got to make sure on that one. We got to get the snap. We got to hold on the football. We can't have any questions on that one. And they went up on us, and we just kind of got the kids around us and said, hey, look, let's go. I told Kyle, I said, you got to do something here. And to his credit, he went out there and he broke a couple of tackles, and he can fly. And he took it almost to the house. And Brad Kilburn, who was the beneficiary of all Kyle's hard work all night long, got those 3 short touchdowns, but he still got those 3 scores. And then we had to come back and play defense. And we had 2 defensive stops in the fourth quarter when we turned the ball over on offense down there. So defensively, I felt like we did some good things there in the second half. In and out of the game, we played really well at times, and we made some mistakes that cost us at times. So, we're working hard on trying to eliminate those mistakes. And, we're glad to beat Lassiter, glad to win that game, and we were excited on the bus ride home. I can tell you the kids, there was a lot of pressure off of them just because they really wanted to win that game. And I'm proud of them, excited for them, and happy for them.
Now, in the fourth quarter, you didn't have a thought of, Kyle, I didn't think you were going to get all that yardage in one chunk. Did you think to yourself, did we score too quickly?
Yeah, exactly. It was a trip. I was like, hey, man, great job.
We scored in 30 seconds.
Way to leave him some time. Actually, I told him, I walked over and said, hey, drive it down the field and score the winner. And then we did it. And I said, hey, buddy, thanks because you've burned some clock. It's never perfect, but we'll take it. Look, at some point in time, you got to put the defense on the field and win the game. And I feel good about our kids. They keep working hard. They're playing. They're getting better every week. And it was a game that we didn't play our best, and we just came out and won. And you got to win some games like that. And I'm proud of them. They hung in there. They fought through some adversity. They could have quit when we fumbled the punt and they ran it in, but they didn't. So is what it is. We'll take it.
As a coach, how do you feel about having the week off? I mean, this week off was almost right in the middle of the season. So in some respects, that probably is not a bad time to do that. But is it a break to your routine, or is it something that the boys need?
I hate practice on the off weeks because you really don't have anything to work on. For us, it's always been about go out and work on us. There's got to be something that we've got to work on improving, something about our game. And we did some things. We added some things, not to go into any details here. We added some things and installed some things that we have not done yet this season that we want to use later on in the season. But it's hard to get the kids motivated to practice because they've got Monday off, they've got Friday off. They know there's no game this week, so it's a little different. So it can be a little frustrating. But it's always good from a coaching standpoint to not have that pressure on you, to have Monday that, you're going to go home and pick your daughter up. I went home and picked my daughter up on the school was there when she got off the school bus, and have that day to spend with your kids and family. And for kids to go and try to do some extra homework or spend the evening with mom and dad, because football season it's a grind. It's a grind for everybody. It's a grind for the parents, the coaches, the kids, everybody. And so it's at this point in time in the season, having a day just to kind of take a breath and spend some time with your family, it's not the worst thing.
So you go from your off week, and then you got homecoming, which is just full of distractions. You've got senior breakfast tomorrow. Come get the pancakes. It'll be the best ones you've ever had, folks. But it's just one of those – it kind of built on itself. And you've got a dangerous team that's coming in 0-3, 1-5 on the season, but they were leading Lassiter in the fourth quarter and only ended up losing by 3 points. So you've got some challenges about keeping the guys a little focused, don't you?
Yeah, as a coach, you hate homecoming week. It's good to have the kids come home, but you hate homecoming week because it just feels like it's all about a bunch of stuff. Some moms and some teachers got together and planned some things just to totally distract the football team from the game. And I know that's not true. It's important to a lot of people, but for us, the important thing is the game. And I have to remind them every day, hey, you guys know there's a game on Friday. Because sometimes the game gets lost in parades and breakfasts and dressing up like cowboys or whatever they're going to dress up with tomorrow. I mean, there's a lot that goes on. We got to stay focused. Cherokee's not a bad football team, and regardless, when people look at their record, I've seen them play a couple times. They're a team that they hang in there with teams usually until the second, third quarter, and they've had some bad breaks. Some things have just gone wrong for them. And I know, we know a lot about that from last season. The last 4 games of the season, we caught some bad breaks, whether officiating or we didn't get a call, we turned the ball over, some things went wrong for us, and we lost some games. So we know how that is. In 2005, we went up there and played them. They had not won a game, and they beat us. It was the only win that they had all year long. It kept us from being the region champions. So I've talked to our kids about that we need to come out. This game is about us, and it's always about us. We come out and prepare and get ready to do what we need to do, then we'll come out on top. And we always feel that way regardless of who the opponent is.
Well, before we continue with our preview of Cherokee, let's take another moment to hear from our sponsor, Zaxby's.
Zaxby's, indescribably good.
And welcome back to the second half of the Rocky Hidalgo Show as we preview Cherokee and the Cherokee Warriors. And, Coach, right before we broke, you made the comment that they beat us in 2005. They have been a thorn in our side. We had the great playoff run that one year that they stifled as well. And, I mean, it's just been a tough team for us sometimes. And there's always that one team that seems to sometimes pop up out of nowhere, and Cherokee's been that team in Walton history.
Brian Dameron, their head coach, is a very good friend of mine. He's been there a long time. He's an excellent football coach. They're going to do what they do. And when they've had very good players, they've been very good as anybody in the state. Have gone down and beaten some great teams and had some even better teams on the ropes. And it's always about players, and Coach Dameron is an excellent coach, as good a coach as there is in Metro Atlanta. He's won there when nobody else has won there, and he's seen the highs and lows at Cherokee High School. Now, I'm going to tell you this, I talked to him after they lost to Milton. He's a unique guy. He's got a unique perspective on things. He's going to have his kids ready to play. He's not going to get down on his kids. He's going to go out and just coach his players to do what they're supposed to do, and they're going to come over and try to win the game. They're going to be a big physical team. They're going to come up and try to stop us running the football, and we've got to go out there and hunker down, control the line of scrimmage. And that's tough for us to do against a team like them because they're big and strong. So we've got to do what we've got to do and take advantage of our opportunities when they present themselves.
Coach, halfway through the season, how would you look at your performance in terms of the areas where I know as a coach you're never satisfied, but did you feel like you're on track and you're tracking the way you want to? And then some of the areas that you want to continue to work on in the second half.
Well, I do think I think our linebacker play gets a little better every week, and we're young at all those spots, but our linebacker play is it gets a little better every week. I think our safety play is getting better every week. Matt LaMontagne has been a steady Eddie. He's a great high school football player, and he's done a great job. Week in, week out, he does what he's supposed to. Our defensive line play, we've got Brad Noble is really starting to play some excellent football for us. Kelly Brooks has come over there doing a good job for us. So we're improving in areas on defense. Offensively, we've been a little inconsistent on the offensive line. Our pass protection's got to get better. We've got to make some plays in the passing game, whether that's receivers just going out and catching the football Our quarterback, has got to get in there, hang in there, make some throws, and it's a hard job for those guys. If the protection breaks down a little bit, the quarterback has got to rush his throws, and he doesn't throw a perfect ball, and the receiver's got to go out there and make a spectacular play. So on offense, it's like it's got to be precision, and our precision and our execution has got to get better, and our consistency on defense has got to get better. We play great defense, and then we give up big plays.
Right.
And those are the things that we're working on. And for the most part, I'm satisfied in a lot of areas. I think we're coming along being a physical football team. I think we get a little better with that every week. Our tackling is getting a little better every week. Knowing our assignments, getting a little better every week. But there's some things. Our consistency has got to get better. I think our football savvy has got to get better. Kids knowing where they line up, and sometimes things present themselves in games that we haven't gone over just because a team put something new in, and just having to adapt and adjust on the fly. We've got to get better at those things. And, a lot of that just comes with maturity, and it comes with experience, and every week's a new experience for us, so we'll take it.
Well, one of the things people forget is you've got some younger players, terrific athletes, some of your underclassmen. They just haven't played a lot of football.
No, they haven't played a lot. And the thing is, it's like having a new puppy at home. They've got a lot of energy. They run all over the place,
Right.
and they chew on the couch, and they pee on the floor, and you just go, gosh, why did I get this dog? Our young players are like that. They've got a lot of energy. They play hard. They just make mistakes. And every week we make less mistakes. We get a little better. Our enthusiasm's great at practice. Our effort has been really good throughout the year. I think consistently our effort has been very good. But just kind of making sure that we're the understanding the sense of urgency that we need to have on a Friday night, and really Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's really what we're working on.
Right.
That these things are important, not just on Friday night, but on Monday night. And I think we've really made some strides in the past 2 weeks on this. We've had 2 really good practices where our kids seem focused, and focus is really one of those things that I think comes with maturity, that focus and discipline. As you do it more, you kind of learn that, we've got to be here on Monday, and we've got to know what's going on, and got to listen to what the coach says. But all those things are coming, and we get a shade better with it every week. Every week we just want to play long enough to get good.
Well, and you're definitely at that part of that time of the season, Coach, where it is just take them one at a time, boys, and business will take care of itself. And we're not going to worry about the game 2 weeks away. We're going to worry about this one. And you're positioned very well for the playoffs, and beating Lassiter was a big win. And if you win these games in front of you, and then you come up to the big Woodstock game, here I am looking ahead, but you've got some chances to control your own destiny.
We do, and we've talked to the kids. Our job is we want to win the next 4. If we win the next 4, we've talked all week long, and for the last 2 weeks since the Etowah game, if we win the next 4, we feel like we're going to have a shot for the region championship. I just and I talked on the phone today with Coach Buddy from Woodstock, and selling him on going over there and beating Etowah when they get the chance in a couple of weeks, because I'm rooting for them, because I want that game versus Woodstock to mean something. But before it can mean something, our kids have got to come up and show up on this Friday and play well against Cherokee, and then play well against Wheeler, and play well against Marietta. So it's something that we do talk about. Our goals are out there, but really it's all about this week. All that's off the table if we don't come out and play this week. But all those things are there, and the kids are aware of that stuff. But again, it goes back to focus. We have to make sure that they're not focused on beating Woodstock in week 10. We need to focus that we're focused on beating Cherokee in week 7.
Right. Well, Coach, as always, the best part of the evening comes when these 2 savvy football guys, we make our picks, and our esteemed president, Mr. McLeod, isn't here today to give us where we are from a rankings perspective. I'm not going to let you pick the LSU McNeese State game this weekend. I think we'll let you pass on that. But after the last 2 weeks, any comments on your Tigers, the Tennessee game, as well as the Florida game?
I'm ordering some high-top Walton hats, the Mad Hatter, and Les Miles' clock management strategies book to use here at Walton High School. The kids were out tinkering with the fake field goal today. Coach, we can do this, so we thought it was funny. I just want to go on record and say I actually picked South Carolina over Alabama, even though I think Alabama's the best team in the country. I picked South Carolina. We didn't have a show. I was really disappointed about that, because that was my big pick that week. G.A. Mangus, I talked to him, former Walton quarterback and quarterback coach at South Carolina. They did a great job. He and I talked about that game 2 months ago, and I know they're excited. I talked to him on Sunday, and he was really excited about that win. So that was good.
I can't think of a bigger Gamecock win. I mean, they've always been the team that has always found a way to let those opportunities slip through their fingers, and that was a huge one. And Alabama, that's just the whole. That's the SEC. You played the games that they played 3 in a row, and that's where I think a lot of the discord comes up with the TCUs and the Boise States. You don't play at Arkansas, then Florida, then at South Carolina. When you're playing some of those other conferences. But
it's tough.
Most of them this week are kind of softballs. Georgia versus Vandy. You got to think that Georgia's bounce back was huge against Tennessee, and I suspect they'll continue that against Vanderbilt this weekend.
I would love to pick Vanderbilt because Coach Kane and those guys are great coaches and they're friends of ours. But in Kyle Westman, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go with the Bulldogs on this one.
And then Georgia Tech plays Middle Tennessee in an out-of-conference game, and Georgia Tech just seems to be winning. They're not winning spectacularly, but they just are winning.
It's really at the end of the day, a year from now, everybody look at their record, and that's all they'll remember. I'll take the Yellow Jackets.
One of the big games is the Arkansas and Auburn game. Auburn now in the top 10, and Arkansas just right outside the top 10. Two contrasting styles: running quarterback with Cam Newton, but then as people say, an NFL quarterback playing at Arkansas. 3-point Auburn's a favorite because they're at home, but I'm going to pick Arkansas in this game.
Gosh, I was going to pick the Razorbacks just to be different. I will say Auburn now, but I think it's a tough one. I think both teams are really good on offense, and neither team is really good on defense. So that's going to be one to TiVo. Fast forward through the commercials and watch all the scoring.
Well, and Auburn's left it late in a couple of games, and
Yes.
they've had some great comebacks against South Carolina and Clemson, but. You got to think that Arkansas probably has that big road win on they lost last year at Florida when they had a chance to win it, and they got the road win at Georgia this year. In the Big Ten, not a conference that many people talk about around that here, but if you're Pennsylvania, you do talk about it. But Ohio State goes to Wisconsin, and Ohio State's the new number 1 in the country, and really their first test, and they go on the road to play that big old offensive line, big old defensive line. Nothing spectacular at Wisconsin. They're just going to try to push you around.
That's going to look like a Walton inter-squad scrimmage right there because they're going to be some big, ugly guys hitting each other in the face. I love to watch both those teams play because the offenses they run, they get in, they run power football. That's a tough one. I'm going to go with Wisconsin at home just for the hay of it.
I'm going to pick Ohio State. I don't think this is the week. I think the game that probably is the one where they have might be their slip-up is when they play at Iowa in a couple of weeks. The weather will be kind of wet and cold and nasty, but Terrell Pryor's not turning the ball over, and that's kept them pretty good this year. Turning to the pros, and we'll finish up with the Falcons. But New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Last weekend, your guys go out to the desert, and they basically get killed with an onslaught of defensive touchdowns. And Drew Brees, 3 interceptions. You got to wonder if maybe that knee injury that he sustained in the Falcons game is, affect him a little bit. But you kind of feel like in the pros, everybody's always gunning for you when you're the champion.
Yeah, it's when you're number 1, it's everybody's hitting you in the face every week. It's the Super Bowl every week again. It's tough, and it's tough to come back and win that thing 2 years in a row nowadays. I couldn't tell you the last time was that Dallas Cowboys. I imagine that was probably the last one back to back. But it's tough to do, and I will take New Orleans. I'll never pick against the Saints, even when they were going 0-for, and I had a paper bag over my head with the Aints written on it. I still picked them just for the fun of it. But I'll pick the Saints and let the cards fall where they may.
Well, Raheem Morris has got the Buccaneers at 3-1, and they had a big win last week at Cincinnati. But I just don't think the Super Bowl champs lose 2 games in a row on the road. And Drew Brees is one of those guys that will just find a way to lift his team. New England and Baltimore. Baltimore comes to New England. Baltimore's defense has been beating up just about everybody this year. They had the loss at Cincinnati, but very physical team. New England's defense has struggled this year, but you got Tom Brady and all the things that go along with his expertise.
What's the weather forecast? That's the big key.
I think it's going to be okay in the Northeast. Not great, but not bad.
I'm going to go with Baltimore. I like to watch the Baltimore Ravens play defense. I mean, they try to kill you when they hit you. They're out for blood, and that goes a long way in my book.
Well, last year they embarrassed the Patriots by only they beat them in the playoffs, and I think they only threw the ball 7 times. They basically played a Walton football game against. They ran the ball at the Patriots. And then the Falcons travel to Philadelphia now. Don't know who's going to play quarterback for the Eagles. Vic may be ready or not, but Kevin Cobb played better this week on Sunday night against a 49ers team. But it looks like the Falcons have got things kind of going right now.
They're playing
I know
well.
It's hard for you to say.
I know it is hard. It's hard. But they are playing well, and a lot of it comes down to the quarterback. They're playing good defense, and football is really at the heart. It's a very simple game. You got to get good quarterback play. You got to make some plays on offense and stick the ball in the end zone and play good solid defense. Mike Smith is a longtime defensive coach. He's done a good job with the Falcons defense over there. It depends if PETA shows up and protests the game. I guess if how many people are going to show up with dog costumes on and protest. But I'll go with the Falcons on the road in Philadelphia, especially if Cold plays.
Yeah, well, I mean, talking to all my relatives in Philadelphia, they have become big Mike Vick fans suddenly, and all things are forgiven with Mike. And I think the Falcons squeak out a close one, but it's definitely going to be worth watching on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Well, folks, thank you for turning in once again to another edition of the Rocky Hidalgo Show, brought to you by Zaxby's. Remember, when you're out looking for something to grab to eat, stop at Zaxby's. They take care of your Walton Raiders. This has been the Rocky Hidalgo Show. I'm Kurt Schreiner. Thank you very much.